We were fingertips away until Mbappe scored in the Champions League final. So very close to winning the big one. But I am loving this Brighton team that we have built. Our star last season, Marcus Leonardo, is now being chased by Real Madrid. Probably because he scored 54 goals last season. And a lot of you asked, and there's a big chance, however, that Evan Ferguson could be the one to leave. He is still here though. But he only made 3 starts and scored just 2 goals all season. This is the player who scored 31 league goals aged 18, remember. But anyway, the Champions League run gave us a nice boost in reputation, taking us into the top 10 worldwide. It also did wonders for our finances though, and I never really trust this page. Why is Norwich there? On the outs, Kozlowski didn't want to renew his contract and he joined Leipzig on a free transfer. Incoming though was Madueke, who was transfer listed by Chelsea. He will be a good squad player in rotation and not bad at all for the price of just 10 million. He ain't the only one coming in though, as I'm about to sign a midfielder from Manchester United, but I won't jinx it just yet. We met Southampton in the Community Shield and they split us open within seconds from kickoff to take the lead at Wembley. It took us a quarter of an hour, but eventually we found our feet, and from there we not only managed to equalise, but we started to take control of the game and play like the champions we are, running away with the match with Leonardo getting himself a hat-trick and ending the game 4-1 winners. With our new signing awaiting a work permit, it was already time to start the new league campaign. Our start included 2 of those rich teams on the list, Wolves and Norwich, as well as Man United and Palace. And we began the season very well, stuffing Wolves 6-0. After defeating Norwich with another great result, it was a trip to Old Trafford where Rashford welcomed us by scoring the opener. Thankfully though, the run from Wirtz was found and we rescued a draw. Speaking of Man United, right after the match we signed their player, and it's Renato Sanchez. He hasn't been getting a lot of the game time at Manchester United, and I thought he fits our midfield perfectly as a backup, especially for those wing positions, and he only cost £16.5 million. And against Palace he came straight into the starting 11 because of fitness issues on that right midfield slot. Marcus Leonardo of course put us into the lead at the near post with a header, but Michael Elise scored a penalty to equalise. However, what looked like it could have been a terrible back pass ended up starting a wild attack in which Alex Scott scored the winner. A Marcus Leonardo hat-trick helped us beat Aston Villa in a great start to our league campaign. On deadline day though, we say goodbye to a legend as we accept a £30 million bid for McAllister from Newcastle, who is in the last year of his contract. Champions League fixtures are in, and of course, like poetry, our first game is against the winners who beat us in the final and lifting the trophy last season, PSG. And they've just signed Milinkovic-Savic and Rafael Leao to bolster their strengths. And they're managed by Patrick Vieira, by the way. Into September, and against Newcastle, Marcus Leonardo scored on the 19th minute mark. He then doubled our lead 20 minutes later, and he had a chance to get his hat-trick, but missed the penalty. And Newcastle went right up the other end and Pino scored. Thankfully though, it was the last goal of the game. A trip to Paris next, and PSG played through us. A new signing, Milinkovic-Savic's cross came up the back post and Musiala scored. But then we caught SMS out on the ball and a lovely chip over the top found Marcus Leonardo. 1-1. Second half and we looked a much better side and Alex Scott punished the Parisians, giving us the advantage. But of course, PSG got a lucky penalty and Mbappe equalised, and the final score was 2-2. We lost the second Champions League match against Atletico and had Liverpool to play at Anfield next. Once again, we conceded really early on, giving Gavi's goal in the 2nd minute, but then from a corner, Ryder hit a beauty to equalise. And then he set up our 2nd goal as well for Marcus Leonardo. Fonseca gave us a 3-1 advantage going into half-time, and Marcus Leonardo scored his 2nd goal of the match, and we leave Anfield with a 4-1 win. The month following seemed to be going really well, especially in the Premier League. Up until Man City scored and beat us 1-0 at the Etihad. And that was our first loss in the league this season, and we were still trailing Chelsea, who won 10 out of their first 12 games. But Marcus Leonardo is scoring a lot of goals with 15 in the league already, and Florian Wirtz is having a fantastic season too. But our fixtures going into the next couple of months were crucial. Chelsea and Arsenal in the league, with Dortmund and Villarreal the stumbling blocks in the Champions League. And after only narrowly beating Rangers 2-1, Dortmund gave us a visit, and it was our German Florian Wirtz who scored the opening goal against the Germans. However, they have their own superstar German going by the name of Makoko, who picked up the equaliser just 3 minutes later, leaving us precariously down in 14th place after 5 games in the competition and unable to find any form. But off to Stamford Bridge we go, and we fall behind to an early goal against the league leaders thanks to Raheem Sterling. It isn't long after and he's scoring a second. Marcus Leonardo though, he steps up and gives us hope, making it 2-1. Until somehow Raheem Sterling turns into prime Pirlo and sets up Carlos Soler with one of the best assists I've ever seen on FM. We get a second through single, but we lose our second match in the league. The other 3 matches in the Prem that month all ended up with us retaining 3 points however. And Chelsea only managed to win 1 game, which was against us, and ended up drawing 2 and losing 1 with Liverpool up next. And somehow we jump up into first position. But if you think that was good, wait till you see how great our December is. It starts off with a trip to the Emirates and Marcus Leonardo is putting us ahead, followed by some Route 1 attack which forced the Brazilian, who makes no mistake, doubling our lead. And then in the second half, Evan Ferguson appears off the bench and he's bagging a goal. In fact, at the end of this month, Ferguson had clocked up 10 goals in just 3 starts and 10 appearances off the bench. Although 5 of them did come against Watford in a 6-1 away win. But still, good for you, mate. That's not to say that Marcus has stopped scoring, by the way. He picked up 3 goals in a 6-2 victory when we headed to Spain and faced Villarreal in the Champions League, a win we really needed to keep our hopes the top 8 finish alive. We also played 7 league games in total during December and only conceded 3 goals. 4 clean sheets, including this 3-0 win against West Ham. And we ended up winning all 9 games during December, never even looking like drawing or losing a match. And Liverpool was there, sat shitting themselves for the first game of the new year. Evan Ferguson was the difference maker in this match. He scored both goals in the match while Marcus Leonardo is rested thanks to the amount of fixtures we've played recently over the Christmas period. Real Madrid still wanting him though, and it's easy to see why with his 34 goals in just 29 games so far this season. Back to the Champions League though, and ideally we need 2 wins from 2 against Zagreb and Feyenoord. And we did it without really breaking a sweat at all. 4-0 and 6-0. We struggled more in the League Cup semi-final against Stoke. Thankfully though, we smashed them in the second leg 4-0. Sending us into the final against Liverpool. But before any of that, we did drop points against Leicester despite scoring from kickoff in the first half. Leicester striker Ollie Watkins punished us, squeezing in their only shot on target, meaning we dropped 2 points rather badly. However, we are still steamrolling through all the other teams and we actually find ourselves creating a huge gap at the top of the Premier League, being 9 points clear of Chelsea now. And those 2 Champions League wins means we don't have to play in that drastic playoff. Michael's been a bit quiet this season though, hasn't he? To be honest, I don't think I've really needed him, and then I sold my backup left back on deadline day. But once again, before acquiring Michael's services, my scouts have already found an ideal young replacement in Borisov, who I got from Ludogorets for just £4.2 million, a bargain. And I've also signed Leo Ostergaard on a free transfer for the end of the season, who I think is a fantastic centre-back. In February, there wasn't much we could do to stop Goretzka from scoring for Arsenal. And although we didn't take the 3 points, Marcus Leonardo scoring an equaliser kept the smiles on the fans' faces. Because it was another unbeaten month, including 2 rounds of the FA Cup. And it's on to March with 5 difficult matches, including the Champions League round of 16 and the Cup final. We started the month drawing to Everton because of a 94th minute goal. So we head to Madrid to play Atletico, and we take control of the game, splitting them open to find Marcus Leonardo. I felt very confident in the second half when a deep cross was met by Schürrle for the second. We dominated the whole fixture, in fact, winning 4-0 in the second leg. So it's off to Wembley for the League Cup final. Once again, we love an early goal, but this time Leonardo supplied the assist for Thuram. Trent Alexander-Arnold is good at free kicks though, and it's 1-1. And Liverpool started better after half-time than us, and suddenly we find ourselves 2-1 down. Not good. Until Marcus Leonardo decided to get involved in the goals himself, and we took it to extra time. And we win the League Cup for the second time when Fabian Rieder scores the winner, making it 3-2 to Brighton. We are on fire right now and even knocked Chelsea out of the FA Cup. 1 trophy down this season, we are top of the league, Arsenal in the quarterfinals of the Champions League and chasing the FA Cup with Newcastle to play next. However, for the first time in forever, we record 2 back-to-back 0-0s against Spurs and Arsenal. Thankfully, with Arsenal being the first leg of the Champions League, Saka also missed a penalty. Bouncing back though, beating Chelsea in the league, who still sit in second thanks to Arda Güler's man of the match performance. He picked up the assist for the first goal and bagged himself just 15 minutes later in a 3-1 win. Our performance in the second leg against Arsenal was exactly what we needed though to gain our confidence back. A solid result, winning 3-0 with some good set-piece goals and a chance to rest players early thanks to 2 goals by the 50th minute. Our run from now to the end of the season is brutal though. Look at this, Newcastle in the FA Cup, next PSG with Manchester clubs either side as we try to secure the league again, and Palace near the end of the season. However, Chelsea keep dropping points and we've pretty much got the league in the bag with 2 games in hand and 8 points clear. Marcus Leonardo has so far scored 45 goals this season, but it's good to see the supporting cast in Ferguson and Wirtz both on 18 as well. Ferguson actually scored 4 goals in the Blackburn game. In a solid 2-1 win as well against Manchester City, we gave ourselves a huge boost. Because mathematically, with that, we've won the league title with 4 games left. And in the FA Cup, we fell behind 2-0 to Newcastle, but somehow we clawed our way back into the game, with Thuram scoring 2 goals to level the scores before Florian Wirtz was played through to put us into another cup final. It's PSG in the semi-final of the Champions League, and it's a chance to make it an all-English final next. We definitely started the better team, and Marcus Leonardo cushioned the ball and half-volleyed it early into the bottom corner. Musiala hounded the ball off single though, and then Mbappe looked offside, but VAR claimed the goal stands. And it was the luck that PSG needed, and it drove them to push for a second, which they found again through Mbappe. And just like last season, I began to worry this would be it, and Hakimi smashed in a third just after half-time. Mbappe then got a chance for a hat-trick from the spot, but Karnaseki saved a penalty, and the momentum completely shifted. Because minutes later, a corner, Marcus Leonardo puts us a goal away from what could have been 4-1 down. And then a clearance is headed down and Almada is through. It looks like he wastes the opportunity, but instead his rocket is an equaliser and the first leg finishes 3-3. The second leg finished 0-0 at half-time, so into extra time, and Kimmich was found with way too much space and he gave PSG the advantage. The minute later, and we attack, looking to find Ferguson, but the ball breaks and Fabian Rieder is there to slot home another equaliser. But from the kickoff of our goal, we are through once again, and there's Ferguson who gets it this time and puts us into our second Champions League final in 2 years, where Manchester City await us in the final after beating Liverpool 4-1 on aggregate. Ironically, it was Crystal Palace who gave us the most difficult game heading towards both cup finals, drawing 1-1. But we end the Premier League season on 94 points, 20 points more than Chelsea in second place. The FA Cup is a trophy that Brighton have never won, and neither have our opponents today, Brentford. So whoever wins this match lifts the trophy for the very first time, and I fancy our chances because Marcus Leonardo put us 2-0 up. And just like he has been doing all season, Evan Ferguson comes off the bench, no nonsense, scores a third, and Brighton are your FA Cup winners. But it's our second Champions League final and Florian Wirtz is out injured, so I resort back to Matoma in that attacking midfield role. He deserves it after what he's done for the club, with him and Caicedo being the only 2 players from the original team I took over that's still in the starting 11. So it's Sergio Conceição's Manchester City team who line up in a 4-4-2 with Erling Haaland leading the line, the Premier League's top scorer by the way, and he has 53 goals this season so far. And as the teams at the Stadio Olimpico Stadium in Rome head out onto the pitch, the one question on everybody's lips: why are both teams wearing blue? Well, the deadlock was finally broken and it took into the second half with very smart thinking from a free kick. A chance to double our lead was missed when Ryder's penalty was saved though, and we tried to work the ball back, but Matoma's shot was blocked and eventually the ball was played out for a corner. But from that corner, Leonardo scores again and it's 2-0. And Man City had nothing. The clock was run down and Brighton, in the second time of asking, are champions of European football. 2 Champions League finals in a row. Quadruple winners this season. What a team we have built. Winning all 4 trophies as well as the Community Shield. Complete domination. I absolutely love this squad. It took 7 seasons, but without spending no more than £22 million on a player, we won the Champions League. Never in one of these series have we dominated a season like we have done here though. And just in case people want to have a look or continue the journey, I'll stick the save file on Patreon under the £5 tier on patreon.com/OmegaLukeGaming. And as we look through the profiles of our heroes of this Brighton save, with this series coming to an end, the question everybody will have is, what is next, Luke? Well, I have an idea, but I think I might need your help. Because I need suggestions for a starting team in the top 5 leagues for Glory Hunter.